everybody. Sonia Rollins for BACC Talk. Thank you so much for joining us. We are excited to be here with Andrea Hechavarria. How did I do?
Very good.
With Butterfly Network. Andrea, tell us what you do for Butterfly.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Sonia. Butterfly, I'm a Vice President of Government Affairs at Butterfly Network and Chief of Staff to our CEO.
Oh, great. So this is, I'm really thrilled to have you here, first of all. I know you've come to Burlington recently. The company has come to Burlington. When did you guys move here?
So we moved into our official space, which is
Yes.
right in the district area, in the spring of this past year. And we were leasing a place for the past year, kind of in 2021. So
Right.
we've been around the area for probably about a year or so,
Yes.
and made it officially in the spring.
Right. I know, and it was probably a funky time to be moving, right? Because
yeah.
COVID and everything.
It was-
and when are we moving? And are the buildings open?
Yeah, and there we went, just like everyone experienced. We had delays with, the work being done, supply chain issues, the whole 9 yards. So it took a little while.
How big or small a
I
company
know,
is, right?
yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
the delays are the same.
Yep.
Well, you know what? We're thrilled to have you here, first of all. But please tell everybody about Butterfly Network, because I'm not sure that people really know what you do, and you do a lot of good work for the medical community.
Well, thank you. So we're really excited to be here in Burlington. Butterfly Network is a transformative digital health company, and our mission is to transform care with ultrasound information. And what's so unique about Butterfly is that for the first time, we put ultrasound on a semiconductor chip, and we put it on a device that you can fit in your pocket. You plug it into your iPhone, and you essentially are creating access to ultrasound information off of your iPhone. So you can use it on smartphones, tablets. It's compatible with iOS, so if you have an Apple, or an Android, if you have an Android phone. And what we're really doing is bringing the power of ultrasound to the masses. So whether you're in a remote African village, if you're in a rural clinic in the middle of the country, or if you're even in an urban health center in the most robust health system like Mass General, the care systems we have here, or Leahy in Burlington, you have access to ultrasound information. And what we're really doing is trying to change the paradigm of care so that, for instance, when you go see your doctor or your care provider and you might present your symptoms and your history, then that care provider, that physician will pause, they'll listen to you, and then if you have an issue that they want to learn more about, they might send you for some additional test, right?
Correct.
Or that ultrasound. And what we're really doing is now with Butterfly, you now have the ability as the care provider to image right then and there at the bedside. And what does that do when a doctor, a care provider, a nurse actually has access to that information at that moment earlier in your care pathway?
It's
and what that
phenomenal.
does to improve medicine, and really, and then the benefits of that downstream of lowering the cost of care, because you might have avoided, a chest X-ray or another test. So it's really all-encompassing value-based care.
It's actually quite remarkable, because not only is it easy, I'm using loosely.
Yeah,
I'm sure it's
yeah.
not an easy technology, but easy to be able to deliver to people. How is that being received by the overall?
Yeah, it's incredible. So
Yeah.
we're in 100 major U.S. health systems across the country right now.
Yes.
And we're growing. This past year has been really exciting for Butterfly, right? We started out in 2011 in an incubator called For Catalyzer in Connecticut. So our founder is Jonathan Rothberg. He's very well known in the healthcare community. He's very famous for putting things on a semiconductor chip and bringing them to the next generation.
Yeah.
So as we've grown and we became a public company last year, our employee base has really increased. We have about 500 employees now, and we're growing, and we're gaining reach across health systems, in rural clinics, in critical access hospitals. And we also, there's a big portion of our company, a big part of our company that is global health focused. So actually just this last week we started our deployment of 1,000 probes to Kenya, and that's going to transform maternal and fetal health for communities and women that have never had access to medical imaging before.
It's life-changing,
It's
literally.
literally
Yeah.
life-changing. 2/3 of the world don't have access to medical imaging. And so we're bringing that to people for the first time. And we have, you can go on our website, you can go on LinkedIn, you can look at Butterfly, and you will see images of women seeing pictures of their baby for the first time. And what that does, that provides information to the provider, information to the mom, and it's really changing the lives of women and their unborn babies.
It's really quite remarkable, because I think people who have access to things like that take that so for granted here, right?
Yeah.
I mean, obviously the idea of having it portable is unbelievable, or instant gratification of a doctor can do it for you, or a nurse right there. But for people who've never had that technology, it's quite remarkable for them.
It's quite remarkable. We're giving access to a medium that does not otherwise exist in some
Right.
parts of the world. And honestly, the cold hard truth is sometimes that's the case here in the United States.
Sure.
So we, a big part when we say we're global health focused, we truly mean that. We do a lot of work with countries around the world, but we're also really focused at what's happening here in our backyard.
Yes.
And so we love to work, and we're engaged to work with nonprofits. We partner with them. We look at work with federally qualified health centers, underserved communities. There's a portion of Butterfly that has been used in street medicine, where doctors will go into homeless communities and care for people that live on the street. And so we've been really trying to fulfill our mission of
Yes.
creating access to medical imaging and really being part of the conversation today in terms of health equity and providing access to care for everyone.
Yeah, it's really amazing. And when you say the cost of it,
Yeah.
and that's cost, forgive my ignorance on this, cost across the board, meaning like less expensive for the care providers to have, and maybe less expensive for the end user, like
Yes.
as far as like maybe it not only gives you that ability to do it right away, but also could help on the whole cost of medical care. Am I understanding that correctly?
Correct. So we have 3 guiding principles at Butterfly. Everything
Yes.
at Butterfly we call 3 E's: easy, everywhere, and economical.
Right.
And the economical part is twofold. So the cost of Butterfly is around $2,000, which is really incredible, because when you think about traditional ultrasound, and we've all had these ultrasound exams where if you're pregnant you get that big sonogram, or
Yes.
maybe you need to do some more intensive cardiac imaging. That's usually on a large scale ultrasound machine that could be north of $100,000, $200,000, right?
Right.
Then your traditional, what we call traditional point of care ultrasound, which is usually kind of like that laptop with all those widgets and things that you've also seen when you go into a hospital or a care setting, that can be anywhere from tens of thousands of dollars to $50,000, $60,000. And Butterfly, the handheld probe, is around $2,000. So before we went public, but we were commercial, we actually just sold Butterflies on our website through an e-commerce portal, like you would buy something off of Amazon or buy something off of Apple. We had doctors that were very comfortable and use point of care ultrasound in their everyday practice. And then they would buy Butterflies off the website and just bring them with them into their practice. And now we've really kind of transformed our business model, where we're going into an enterprise. So we go into large healthcare systems and help them get set up with Butterfly. And really our message is it's not about the ultrasound, it's about the information that ultrasound provides. And you can now do that in a portable handheld device, because it's on a semiconductor chip. And the one thing I will say too is what makes us so cost effective is traditional ultrasounds are usually made of what something is called piezoelectric crystals, which makes it a very laborious process, and they can be a little bit more fragile, which makes them very expensive. And semiconductor chip is much cheaper to produce, and then also more durable. So Butterflies are meant for the wear and tear of everyday work in a hospital. And we've made it up to the space station, and so we've done work with NASA, DoD, and others. So we're very proud of what we're doing, and we're looking forward to the future.
Oh, as you should be. It's remarkable, actually. And so you've been in Burlington for a little while. You're at the district, which is off
Yes.
of Mall Road. Tell us about picking Burlington.
So Burlington, it was such a fascinating experience. When I came to Butterfly last April, there was kind of chirpings about, hey, we're going to have a Boston area office. And I was like, wow, this is really great. And it came to my attention that we actually did, for better or worse, a nationwide search to find an area where Butterfly could have kind of the best of both worlds, which was access to an emerging tech hub, that we could have, the best software engineers, the best kind of employees that have had a lot of exposure to the tech side, right?
Yeah.
But we also wanted to tap into the healthcare ecosystem that everyone knows and loves in Massachusetts and in the Boston area. And the Burlington area lit up on the map as this place. And so that was kind of the end of the story. And we picked the district because we obviously wanted to offer, a lot of opportunities to our employees, right? And we're all coming out of COVID and wanting to get people back into the office and to enjoy working together in a space. And it was really important for us as a young company to create a hub for Butterfly where everyone can go. We have employees in New York, we have employees in California, we have some employees overseas, and we have some employees in Connecticut, and we really wanted a place for people to come together and work together. So we renovated a whole space in the district, and we've called that home, and it's a beautiful space, and it's just a joy to go to work there every day.
I love it. It is a joy, by the way. And speaking of the district, it is really kind of a hub because it has so much around it, including Row 34, which Row 34 is not far from you, and I don't know if you know, but we got a little training on how to shuck an oyster.
Get out!
Yeah, absolutely. So we are going to take you over to Row 34 right now for our foodie segment, where they taught us not only that oysters are yummy, but how to shuck them. We'll be right back. Hi everybody, Sonia Rollins here for BACC Talk. Our foodie segment this month is one that I am super excited about. If you're an oyster lover, you're going to be just as excited as I am. Have you ever wondered how to shuck an oyster? Do you love them in restaurants but kind of think you want to try to be doing that in your own kitchen? Today's your day. We're going to learn how to do that here at Row 34, and we're going to see a few other ways to eat them as well. We're in the back with Chef, and we are at Row 34. You're going to make us some things. I'm in one of my favorite spots, Chef. Like, I love it here. So tell us what you're going to be making for us today.
Today we're just going to make what we call lettuce cups. It's just a quick fried oyster with some pickled vegetables and a nice Togarashi Aioli sauce on top. So I'm just taking these and I'm going to dust them in some rice flour, and then I'm just going to fry these bad boys up.
So how long do oysters take to fry?
Not very long, maybe a minute, maybe two, depending on how big.
It's a really interesting way you're doing it too. It's being fried, but it's not like a deep fryer. Like, people could do this at home.
Yeah, this is just same thing as a deep fryer. It's just on the tabletop. Yeah, this is totally something people can do at home very easily.
I'm noticing in the kitchen that there's someone frying the potato chips. Are they all house-made, your potato chips?
Yes, they are. They're sliced every day and fried every day. We do a blend of sweet potatoes, plantains, and tortilla chips for our ceviches.
I mean, I know we're here for oysters, but that's amazing.
You want to cook these so they get nice and little color on the outside and so they're fully cooked on the inside.
And there they are.
Whenever you fry things, always a little bit of salt to season. Lettuce cups, we're just going to take some bib lettuce here, some nice little cups. Now we have house-made pickled fennel and carrots, just a little bit. These are pretty powerful pickles. You don't need much. And my personal favorite, pickled red onions. These are cold pickled, so it helps them retain a lot of their crunch.
Yes.
And these are onions still through and through, so you only need a little bit. Then our oysters go right on top of that. It's a great appetizer to share, something, different than most places have. This is Togarashi Aioli. We make an aioli first, and then we season it with lime juice, orange juice, and Togarashi with sriracha as well. Togarashi is an Asian spice blend. It has orange peels in it, which really brings the citrus flavor. So a little bit on top, and that's it.
Beautiful.
Simple, but really flavorful.
If I worked here, I'd eat like 7,000 oysters a day.
So we have cocktail sauce here with a little bit of extra horseradish on the side.
Yep.
We've got your classic white wine mignonette with a little bit of fresh cracked black pepper on top, and shallots as well. And then over here we have what we call a spicy mignonette. So it's Fresnos with white wine and rice wine vinegar, topped with a little bit of cilantro. So it gives it a little nice kick to it. For oysters, obviously the first thing you need is have an oyster knife. Definitely a lot of different varieties out there. There's ones like this, nice comfortable handle, nice clip, pointy tip. You got one more like this. It's a little bit more broad at the shoulders and comes to a tip. All of them work well. It's just whatever is more comfortable to you.
Okay, so it's not based on the oyster, it's based on the user.
No, yeah. With oysters, it's not about power. It's not about strength. It's a little bit like finesse. You could have someone this big shucking oysters faster than some guy this big. It's not about...
It's about knowing exactly where to do it.
Exactly. So this is the one I'm going to use. Very similar, kind of like a cross between these two. Has nice little grooves. The next thing, you need your oysters. These are the Row 34s. You just want to make sure that you give them a nice good wash. They'll often come muddy, sandy, what have you. So you just give them a nice little rinse under the sink and just get most of that debris off. And then your major things that you're going to look for on your oysters is the hinge right here at the back of the oyster, that's where you're going to stick the knife. In each oyster, there is an abductor muscle. It's what controls it opening and closing in the water, and that's what keeps the two shells connected. So we're going to sever that connection, and that's how we pretty much open them. It will always be right here on this side of the oyster. It won't be here, 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 here. No, just always right here.
No matter what the oyster.
No matter what the oyster is, it's always going to be in this little corner right here. Next step is to grab your setup. So you get your knife. You're going to want a towel. We also have shucking gloves. They're kind of like a little bit durable, more stiffer, so if you accidentally miss, you're going to less likely to injure yourself.
Yeah.
Exactly. We use a little towel method. So I got my towel here, put my oyster here. I'm going to bend this towel back like that. That way, if I miss, it goes into the towel. So first, I'm going to stick my knife right into the hinge. Like I said, it's not about power. Now, my knife is a little bit heavy, but you should be able to, like, see how it just sticks in there?
Yes. Yes.
So just go in here, give it a nice little pop right there. Yep. Look, I've already opened it. That's all you need, that little, like, leverage, right? I take my knife out, give it a nice wipe. I don't want to force any of the shell that I just popped into my oyster. I want to keep it nice and clean. So I go back in there. Look at that, already in. This way I can hold it. I can just give it one twist up, right? I scrape along that top shell.
And the muscle goes.
And there it goes. And that's it.
Amazing.
I'm going to go then take my, glove or my finger, thumb. I'm just going to wipe down the excess. I don't want any of that shell, any of that grit that the oyster might have swallowed before it was harvested. You're going to take your knife, and you're going to try to do it one clean cut. You're going to cut the abductor muscle on the bottom.
So there's one on the top, one on the bottom.
Yep, and that's it.
It's so impressive now that I'm watching you do this that there are that many people out there, and we just say, like, give me a dozen oysters, like, that's easy, and you have to do that to each one.
Yep.
Right?
Yeah,
Right.
each every one. And but it's not that hard. Like, once you get the hang of it, it goes pretty fast. So,
Right.
like I said, knife right into that hinge, wiggle it in there, right? Look, I'm already in there.
Yeah.
That's all you have to do. Give it a nice pop up. A little twist to kind of pop that shell up. I like to put my thumb in there just to keep it open.
Yeah.
And I can get a nice good scrape on that top. And it releases that one right there. Turn it around, give it a nice swipe on here. I don't want to eat any dirt on my lips. And then one swift cut like that.
I hope you enjoyed today's segment as much as I did. If you have not been to Row 34, located at the District in Burlington, you are missing out. Please come down and join them. Try out the lettuce cups, try out the raw oysters, and if you're not a person who loves oysters, give them a run. I think you'll really enjoy them here. They have a full menu. There's something for everybody here. It is a great place not only in the summer, but all year long. For Back Talk, I'm Sonia Rollins. All right, so oysters. I mean, if you have you been to Row 34?
Yes, we
yeah.
are enjoying all the restaurants that buy us. I think, we certainly pack pressed every day for lunch, and we enjoy the restaurants at night if we're doing team dinner.
Oh,
so it's been
fantastic.
wonderful.
Yeah. And I don't eat gluten, so it was like my favorite thing when they said that the fried oysters are in rice flour. I mean, if I wasn't taping a foodie segment, I might have hugged her.
Yeah.
So it was right there. It was
Good
all
for
good
you.
stuff.
Yeah.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
All right, and speaking of Burlington and the district and all of that, we always say, those of us who've lived here and worked here for years, that it really is what you said right before the break, was it's like this, it lights up on the map because of all of the amenities that it offers, right? And the restaurant businesses, the life sciences, the medical backgrounds, it kind of gives us all of that. And then there's a sense of community. Yeah. What is that? I always ask this backwards, but if you could tell us about, what that means to a company like Butterfly, being involved in a community or being involved in the town that you're in.
Yeah, look, it's hugely important, and I feel like the town of Burlington and the state of Massachusetts have just welcomed us with open arms, and it's been wonderful to work with local stakeholders all the way up to state officials. And the chamber, I'll tell you, when we started first moving into Burlington, Rick was just, we kind of became instant friends and colleagues, and he helped introduce me to all the right people that could help us as we kind of onboard into the area. And it's just been wonderful. I think, with Butterfly, we're a very mission-driven company, and we also just want to be very aware of what's also happening in our own front yard,
Yes.
and to take a part of that. And I think being in the district is so unique. When we bring people in from out of state, they stay right at the hotel across the street, and then they walk into our office,
Isn't that amazing?
and then we
Yeah.
just, like I said, kind of grab lunches, coffees. Like, the whole area is just so conducive to coming to work, making it a part of your life in the best way. You can get exercise there, you can go grab a coffee, you can go have lunch, you can walk around, and it's just been really enjoyable. And I think the Chamber has really brought this to life for us, in the sense that we feel like we're part of the community, we have a voice in the community, and we're kind of a part of this network that's really trying to not just promote Burlington, but really make people familiar with the fact that there's a lot of really neat stuff happening in this area, really innovative companies that are enjoying this space.
I love that you said that, because I think when I've been involved in the Chamber for years, and I think the problem is when you try to explain the Burlington Chamber by comparison to other chambers, all due respect to them, it has a little bit of a different flair, because there's so many different avenues that it addresses, right? It addresses the smaller companies, it addresses larger companies, it addresses new innovations that maybe weren't there before, and you said it perfectly, having a voice, like being able to have that voice. So it is really about like that collective thought process and what we can offer to the community, both on the business side and then what the residential base doesn't know about.
Right.
If you had heard about Butterfly Network, or if you hadn't heard about them, and then all of a sudden you're hearing this, you're appreciating that really leading edge technology is happening right in your backyard.
Oh yeah,
right. I mean,
even so, I'm born and raised in southern New Hampshire, and I think I said to Rick when we first came into Burlington, I said my mom used to take me to the Burlington Mall as a young girl. We would shop at the Lord and Taylor, and we would, that's where we would get all our nice clothes. And so the fact that I'm now here 20 plus years later, and there's so much that's changed.
Yes.
And really kind of just up and coming restaurants and fun places to be. And the fact that, the Chamber really connects everyone, not only like Butterfly, yes, we're one of the many innovative kind of med tech technology companies that are coming in from the Life Science Center area. And then you have this, cutting edge hospital here that's, a part of just the amazing Massachusetts healthcare ecosystem. And it's all kind of cyclical, right? You have innovators, you have care providers, you have education, and then businesses that are all kind of making it work together. And I think it's one of the things that the Chamber provides, is they provide avenues and resources for all of us to kind of come together and share ideas and introduction. I mean, one of the events I went to with the Chamber, I got connected to some smaller businesses that we could potentially, use in the future for whatever events we're having or activities that we're doing. And that's just, it's wonderful when you can keep it local.
Yes,
Yeah.
And that is the part that's so hard to drive home to people, is sometimes it's not that you're walking in hopes of making a connection, but ultimately you make that connection, or ultimately somebody where it's going to matter for them, you know, and so that part is really wonderful there. I don't know if I've known another chamber to do the many assets or spots that we have of different people, but it's just very helpful to be able to see all the different size companies. And even when you think about the district's transformation has happened. Like you've said, the Burlington Mall from years past is not today's Burlington Mall, And as a matter of fact, you can judge how many people have been to it, because most people say like the mall or Simon's Properties or something like that. Those of us who went when Lord and Taylor was Lord and Taylor, we call it the Burlington Mall still.
I know.
Yeah,
it's so
exactly.
funny. But honestly, I think people in the community should really understand, like, there is incredible companies here. Like, I think the Massachusetts Hospital Association is here.
Yes.
Just, really great places where everyone needs to interact with one another. And they can partner and work together on things that not are affecting the Burlington community, but the entire state of Massachusetts.
Yeah, because Andrea, you don't see that as I think sometimes people envision that when like-minded things get together, it's like competitive. It's not necessarily in the medical industry. I mean, do you see that as like everything is moving forward together, or people work together collectively to get things ahead?
Yeah, look, I think, the state of where healthcare is today, like obviously something needs to change, right?
Yes.
And it is, and I think people are realizing that when you kind of partner together, and that's what we're doing with Butterfly, is we go in with either a small rural clinic or critical access hospital, or we'll go in and try to work with the entire health system to really help them transform care. And it's about sharing our ideas, our innovation, our design, and really trying to help physicians practice better medicine. And that's going to be helpful to them in the larger health system, but also overall, most importantly, beneficial for patients, right? And obviously, everyone realizes that the cost of care is really expensive, right?
Yes.
It happens to everyone. And if Butterfly can be a small part of that and a tool of not only improving outcomes and improving care for patients, but lowering the overall cost of care, I think that's a huge victory.
Absolutely. I mean, my hat is off to you, because I think that I feel sometimes when you're in a doctor's office, their hands are a little tied, because they need to do something, and maybe they don't have the access to do it right away,
Yeah.
or the cost is prohibitive. They have to justify that end point of why that has to happen. Whereas maybe when other things come into play, it will make that an ease, or it will make it easier for them to be able to deliver some of that service.
I think an aspect of Butterfly that we're starting to talk about more and more is kind of the relationship between the doctor and the patient.
Yes.
I think in the current state of affairs with medicine, right, those physicians, those care providers are so busy all the time, right? So you might just get a couple minutes with your primary care or if you're in the hospital. And I think with Butterfly, what it does is in that same amount of time, you now actually have a more intimate conversation with your doctor, because you can actually see what's going inside your body instead of just being told about what's going on inside your body. And what does that mean for compliance with medicine, for trust in your doctor, for building that rapport that I think used to happen very long ago, that doesn't really happen anymore. And so I think what we're trying to do is live in the current environment where we realize there's a lot of patients that come through the door every day, limited resources in a physician's office or in a hospital, but really try to make the most of that time and really have patients understand what's going on inside their body, so they can be really patients in the know and knowledgeable about their health.
Yeah, I love it. Well, listen, we wish you continued success. We hope you continue to prosper in Burlington and good things. We will be watching as you guys continue to bring great things, not only to the Burlington area, but across the world. So thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you. It's my pleasure. We're just thrilled to be here in the area and happy to be part of the community.
We loved having you. Thank you all for joining us today, too. And thank you to Road 34 for allowing us into their restaurant. For BACC Talk, I'm Sonia Rollins. This is the part where I